Excuse me if I may, but probably you're watching this video for different reasons than what the previous person did. And that's not a bad thing. It's just people are going to expect and come to this video for different reasons. Therefore, I'm going to have to cater for multiple perspectives. One reason is people might want to see if the Xbox Series X is competing against the PC at a graphical level, or it might be just a case of to see if the PC is still dominating in the graphical side of things. Or you might be here purely just because you're wanting to buy an Xbox Series X and you're wanting to see what it's like to look at one in a game that you play a lot. So there's a lot of different reasons why, and that is fine. What my plan is today is to show you side-by-side comparisons of a Warzone experience inside of the PC, inside of the Xbox Series X, and finally inside of the good old Xbox One S. So let me use the next 30 seconds to quickly run through all the techie stuff I like to do. Xbox One S, Xbox Series X, and also the PC are running on a 2K 120 frames per second monitor. All of them has been captured with the same capture card, the 4K 60 Mark II Pro by Elgato. No extra color correction, nothing post-production has been added onto this film. Every game is fully updated, all graphics drivers are fully updated. The Xbox Series X has got the high texture resolution pack installed, and with the recent update to say that Warzone can play in 120 frames per second screen and is now fully supported. The PC side of things has been kind of matched to what I feel like the Xbox Series X runs at. Graphic wise, it is a 2060 RTX inside of my PC, so of course at 2K resolution 1440p you're not exactly going to be hitting that 120 frames per second point, especially at this kind of resolution. I was hitting around about 70 to 90, even up into 100 depending on where I was. But that also goes with the Series X. The Series X is technically 120 frames per second, which is excellent, but it does dip down to 100 frames per second, judging on how intensive that certain area was. So overall, let's just say the Xbox One S, there's a clear upgrade to the PC, the Xbox Series X. You can see it, but judge for yourself, of course. I think there's a clear upgrade in terms of quality, in terms of performance, and how it feels. Overall, both systems are basically side steps to each other, which is good. They both feel good, they both feel smooth. So performance wise, there's not going to be much difference, unless you're a type of person looking at 144, 240 Hz, of course. The older generation of Xbox console looked very grainy and was very difficult to see people in the distance. But with the Xbox Series X and the PC, that isn't a factor, so that's good. They both look clear, they both look crisp. However, the colors and the FOV slider is better on the PC, of course, because there is an actual FOV slider on the PC. There isn't one for the Series X. Now, the rendering distance, or the drawing distance, or the rendering bubble as I like to call it, is still applicable in both situations. You still see the game being drawn in front of you. Yes, it's not as obvious on the PC as it is on the Xbox, but the Xbox Series X does a good job at that drawing distance. If you don't know what drawing distance is, essentially when you're looking out across the map, how much detail can you see in those far objects? Can you see the windows in that building? Can you see the grain on the floor on the far away? It's that kind of thing. So with the drawing distance, they're both applicable, and of course it is game management in order not to render the entire map, but they both do well, and it's pretty decent how far you can see on both. So the PC, I would say, works better with that, especially if you've got more of a powerful card, but the Xbox Series X does it well. This video is not to tell you whether or not to go out and buy yourself an Xbox Series X in comparison to the 2060 card I have inside of my machine. Of course, if you've got a 3080 or even a 3090 or one of these big Navi cards from AMD, performance-wise, you're going to outshine the Xbox Series X. You're going to get more performance out of it, you're going to have a bit more customization with it, you're going to have a bit more options with it, and you're going to have a bit more flexibility with it. However, for what the Xbox is, the Warzone runs well. It's an upgrade from the Xbox One S and the Xbox One X. The load times, I'm not even talking about load times because it's magnificently quicker, as you probably have heard in numerous of different rumors so far. In this video, I've shown you side-by-side clips of how Warzone looks. It looks better, graphically better, anti-aliasing better, smoother feeling, and it does feel a new next generation console. And that is what we wanted. But again, with next generation titles such as Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Cold War, they are specifically built to work better on these machines. Warzone is a last generation game with an optimization patch with higher resolution textures and also the ability to play 120 frames. I'm just saying what those two combined are, it works as it's being told to work. Again, it's still a last generation game, but it works very well, and hopefully we can see improvements in the near future.